starts. The odds of it around 3. Somebody asked me who are the commentators on NFL Network. Rich Eisen is the anchor. Much rather hear Rich Eisen than Mike Greenberg. Much rather hear that.
Joel Klatt. Charles Davis. Daniel Jeremiah.
You're good.
Kurt Warner.
Yeah.
Because I had the NFL Network on mute, and I listened to the ticket because I'm at the point now I can't have draft weekend without Norm.
Oh,
I can't do a draft.
And they were all in Kansas
Norm.
City. That group was up there with the ticket, including the Musers. Yeah, they were all hanging out up there in Kansas City for our friends from the ticket in Dallas. But yeah, and then Melissa Stark does the interviews like Susie Colbert does, and I like Susie's work there on the ESPN. But and some of the people I like.
When that Dion doing the NFL Network had Dion doing interviews.
Yeah, he's no, we don't have to worry about that now.
Who is that man? Call him Michael Crabtree.
Yeah, right. So there's that. So and Longer Bear says from June through September 1st, I don't mow between the hours of noon and 6. Good move, Bear. We want to keep you around for a while longer. Our man CB says it's supposed to be almost 80 degrees up there. How unseasonable in the PNW, the Pacific Northwest there, CB. Somebody says try cutting the lawn in South Louisiana with a hangover. Wow.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah. So here's about I'm retired Air Force and mow for about a dozen older veterans who can't do it themselves. See, now that's good. My Hustler Zero turn makes mowing fun. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. Female listener 19 says not everyone has NFL Network. You know what? It's on most. It's available on just about every cable system. The question is it on that elevated sports tier? It's not like where Longhorn Network isn't even available online. NFL Network, I think, is available on every cable and satellite distributor. I think NFL Network's available on that.
Should be.
It might be on an elevated tier on that. Anyway, there it is. CB says he enjoys the college game day coverage of the draft. There's certain elements that I do like about that. It's a lot of what they talk about is based on obviously how outstanding they were as college student athletes. The NFL experts quite often will talk about how that game translates in. I misunderstood my brother. I thought he told me that they were all up there in Kansas City. So no, the Musers were not up there, but the Hardline and Norm's group was. So those guys were up there.
One thing I will do in the Longhorn Notebook, we'll run down the Max Asma stuff, what that means, but I also want to look at just kind of some ins and outs of the draft and then some things that you can take away, some Texas-related things that you can take away from the draft. We'll do that in the Longhorn Notebook. But sticking with draft, Craig, you can't comment because your Rams did not have a first-round pick.
They did not have a first-round pick. They have I think it's the 37th overall pick coming up in the second round. So
Will Levis, Craig?
No, let me also say something too. I heard Aaron say this, and I know why he said it. He said it because I think there had been some reports about the health of Matthew Stafford. I saw an interview with Stafford last week. He has the cleanest bill of health he's had in a couple of years. He said, remember last year, because of the elbow, he was on the pitch count and couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. He's been completely cleared on all the workouts. Now, he's getting longer in the tooth. How healthy is he during the course of a season? All those kinds of things. But he's ready to go full on. I think the Rams have far more other needs they need to address than at quarterback. I will tell you this: they need a better option at backup quarterback because their backups are. Ugh. They need to.
So John Wofford this next year.
Yeah, Wolford. Yeah, that's him. So they need. I think they need to do something with that. Bring in another quarterback or whatever. But I don't think starting quarterback, at least as long as he's healthy, is an issue. Mm-hmm. Stafford is. Stafford is, I think, relatively healthy there. But you're right. Now, they have 11 picks from here on out. So they didn't have a first-round pick. And speak of the devil, that was because of the Matthew Stafford trade, the trade of Jared Goff, the Lions. But as a Rams fan, that worked out to win a Super Bowl. I saw what the Rams could do in a Super Bowl with Jared Goff at quarterback. That didn't work. I saw what Matthew Stafford did in the Super Bowl with it. So to me, not having a first-round pick last night, that's okay. I could live with that based on they got their Super Bowl in 2021. Now, going forward, you hope they make the most of what they've got. They've got 11 picks to work with. Of course, the Cowboys, and you
that's where I was getting to the Cowboys.
Yeah, and we're getting to that, and of course, Mozzie Smith winds up being the 26th overall pick. Great excitement among the Cowboy brass and a lot of Cowboy fans. I think most everything I've read about it said this is a good pick.
It's one of those deals. They don't have any glaring needs. I don't like the makeup of that tight end room, but Buffalo moved ahead of Dallas. But again, listening to
no doubt
to the tickets coverage and hearing David Moore talk, David Moore from the Morning News, he was hearing that the war room was very much split on Dalton Kincaid. Some really liked him, some had him nowhere near the top of their tight end board. So this to me feels like with the way those tight ends are dropping, the Cowboys feel like whoever it is, they're going to get a pretty good tight end in round 2. Mm-hmm. So go ahead and just take the position that you don't think will be there. Sound like Dan Quinn had a lot of influence over this pick. They really wanted to. Can you believe the Cowboys haven't used a first-round draft pick on an interior defensive lineman since Russell Maryland?
How about that?
That was hard for me to believe.
I read that last night. First time since '91
when they used Russell Maryland, used the number 1 overall pick to take Russell Maryland. But no, I'm fine with this pick. They've been piecemealing it together with that interior D line for a long time. Take late round picks, signing guys off the street, guys off the scrap heap. So if you feel like Dan Quinn really wanted to start investing in that interior D line to get themselves maybe a difference maker.
Yeah, and obviously the Cowboys were excited about it. And I know probably if you were listening this morning, you heard Jerry and the phone call to him. Well, we're really excited, and there was all of that. And then he did his press conference afterwards with the media where he was talking about and who did you say this? Whose question was this?
It was my man Nick Harris. Nick Harris, my former coworker, who's now working for DallasCowboys.com. He had asked Mike McCarthy about Dan Quinn's thoughts in the war room on the pick, and Mike McCarthy gave a pretty short answer, and then Jerry picked it up from there.
Yeah. So this is what happened after he was asked about that, and Jerry about the fact about where they had him on the board as opposed to where they picked him.
Man, who gives a Really, we got him.
Yeah. He said, well, we had him 14, blah, blah, blah. And who gives a yeah. So, once again, Jerry's radio gold off of
Does
that.
Jerry know what year it is?
Yeah. Well, I think he does. And
he does, but he doesn't. But he does.
Yeah.
But he does.
Yeah. So
I'm cool with it. Texans fans have to be happy. I mean, you get your quarterback and you get a potential defensive corner. So first off, Cam is a Cowboys fan. Yay or nay or just kind of meh on this pick?
Oh, it's a great pick because the interior defensive line was such a struggle last year that it felt like at any time when they would take out Micah Parsons when it wasn't a pass. Now I'm sounding like a Chris Collinsworth pass rush. Teams would throttle the Cowboys D-line running the ball just straight down their throats. And the tight end, sure, like you said, Jeff, the tight end room definitely needs to be addressed. But with Kincaid off the board, I wanted either Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh, who went in the teens.
I think 19, was that 19 to Tampa maybe? Yeah.
Or Mozzie Smith. It's a great pick, and Dallas is finally investing in their defensive line, which they have not really been doing the last decade.
Yeah. Yeah, but I know Brian Branch from Alabama was there, but I mean, there's no way the Cowboys are taking a safety right here. So just forget about that. Just cross him off, and then just scratch him off the list. So no, I'm cool with it. It's fine. It's fine.
Again to the spec section.
Hopefully, he can't be any worse than the last late first round pick the Cowboys took out of Michigan. He can't be any worse than Taco, right?
See, and that's unfortunate because that's the first thing that comes to mind with a lot of people. That's where they got Taco. Okay, yeah. It is, but that doesn't mean this guy's is gonna wind up like Taco Charlton.
It's like those who are like, when's the last Ohio State or Alabama quarterback that's been good? It's like Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud are not Mac Jones and who is
Justin Fields isn't doing all that bad right now.
Yeah. So that always
just watch film of Mozzie Smith, guys.
Can I expand on that real quick, Cam? Like, it just bothers me that I hear the draft talking as well. That Ryan Day system. Like, you realize there's more crossover now between college offenses and NFL offenses than there's ever been before in the history of football, right? I don't know. Maybe you go back to like single wing days. Maybe there was more crossover there, but the quote unquote people just like, oh, they run the spread. Everybody's running some form of spread offense. It's just, do you like to run? And what personnel groupings do you favor? Are you a tempo guy? Are you not a tempo guy? It's all the same. And I think these quarterbacks conceptually, and I think that's a big misconception about these quarterbacks is, oh, well, they're spoon-fed everything. No, not necessarily. You talk to some of these guys, especially like the air raid guys. Like if you play for a Lincoln Riley or a Dana Holgerson or, even when Cliff was at Tech, they asked their quarterbacks to do a lot. Mm-hmm. Craig, you know this from being in some of these pregame meetings with coaches. Like you've got to know protections, you've got to know route tree, you got to know everything. You got to know where you're audible, where your hot read is, like the whole deal. It's not just, they're not just spoon feeding it to you. I think when the former Washington Redskins, when they were going through the draft process and some of the stuff that was coming out of Baylor when they were looking at RG3, where, Baylor doesn't have a playbook and, it's all check with me's from the sideline. And because we know how the veer and shoot operated, it was a tempo offense. You don't have time to really do a whole lot. And it was a lot of coaches kind of spoon feeding the quarterback. That's not how all spread offenses in college are created. As a matter of fact, quarterbacks conceptually, I would argue now know more football now than quarterbacks coming into the NFL ever have.
Yeah.
So I don't buy that it's a system deal or anything like that. I mean, for years, people were like, oh, Jeff Tedford quarterbacks can't make it in the NFL. Look at Achilles Smith and all these Oregon guys. Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was a Jeff Tedford quarterback. He did all right.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't buy that system.
Well, for the same reason, like somebody said, and I like your use of words, the soft taco Charlton pick gives me eerie flashbacks. Can't trust a Michigan D lineman. Really? Heard of a guy named Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson had 52 tackles and 9.5 sacks last year.
We can all agree that when the taco period commenced, it was not what any of us hoped it would be. But let's not let our biases get in the way.
Yeah. Somebody said, as a diehard Falcons fan and a graduate of UT, I'm over the moon this morning. Yeah. Everything I read on a lot of things and everything I watched last night was just all positive stuff about the Falcons selection of Bijan.
I saw some. Well, we'll hit that notebook because I've got some thoughts on that too.
Okay. All right. We'll get to that. That would sound like rather foreboding. Just
don't talking Bijan. I'll save it for the notebook.
Good, that's coming up. No, I thought you meant you had something really bad about it.
No.
I got you. All right, we're going to get to that. We also have, we have Inconceivable coming up. You know what today is? It's Friday, and what does Friday mean, Cam?
Go ahead and reach for that low-hanging fruit.
Flaccidity running amok in the studios.
It is, and real criminal flaccidity today. We'll get to that when we talk about that, and so we'll get to that. We'll continue with your questions as well when we continue here on Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com.
Well, I can tell you this, no matter what you thought of your favorite team's draft pick, my draft viewing experience last night and throughout the rest of the weekend was and will be enhanced by my home entertainment system, set up by Tom McKay and the fine folks at Audio Visual Consultations. Make sure you're watching your sports, movies, and TV in the most optimal way possible. Just call them right now, 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. Tom McKay and Company keep the latest smart TVs and Sonos audio in stock. And if he can't get it, it's not going to take him very long to have it in hand. So whatever your needs are, they'll make it work. What I love about what AV Consultations does is they'll put together a project that not only makes sense for your budget, it makes sense for the amount of space you have in your house. I couldn't have asked for a better setup than the one I've got with a 75-inch LG TV and a Sonos sound system. If you want that exact same setup like I've got or something in the ballpark, obviously, they can make that work for you, do a nice professional setup. You don't have a mess of cords behind an entertainment center. You don't have to worry about knocking holes in your wall because it is a clean job that AV Consultations does. It is top notch. Maybe you need something a little bit smaller. They can handle that. Or if you want to fit a full tilt home theater experience in your house, get you a 150-inch screen. Tom McKay's got no problem making that happen. Whatever your needs are, big or small, just call AV Consultations and let them handle everything for you. 512-255-8678. That's 255-8678. Do not delay. Call right now and let Tom McKay and Audio Visual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment setup of your dreams.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove. The way you shake that thing gonna make you burn, gonna make you stay. Hey, baby, when you walk that way, watch honey drip, can't keep away.
This is Light the Tower on the Horn. Craig Way, Jeff Howe with you. Trying to remember, is this a fish nor fowl thing with you, Jeff? Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you probably know this. You know who the biggest Led Zeppelin fan in this building is? At least I say in this building. He's in this building. Here's your hint. He's in this building once a week.
In this building once a week.
Uh-huh.
No idea.
Matt Butler.
Really?
Huge
Is he really?
Led Zeppelin fan.
I never knew that about
Got
Matt.
into it with him one time. I said, Led's dead. I told him. He was like, no, it's not. We were going about
I'm sure Matt had a nice analytical breakdown for you on how it's
He really did. He really did.
Nobody dives into the numbers better than Matt Butler.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You catch that on the Blitz podcast with Rod Babers and Jeff Howe and Matt Butler each week here on the Horn and wherever you get your podcast. So speaking of Longhorn Blitz, how about our Longhorn notebook?
So I was looking at some of the draft grades that the Falcons gave, that various publications gave the Falcons for Bijan Robinson. Most of the grades I saw gave the Falcons a D, Craig, or something in that realm.
Really?
And it's not necessarily the Bijan pick. It's for, well, here's the deal. Like, I'll read this from Pete Prisco at CBS Sports. Gave the Falcons a D for taking Bijan at 8. So this is way too high for a back, even if he is a really good player. Backs don't decide Super Bowls. I know Arthur Smith loves backs, but this is a deep draft of backs, and history isn't kind to this type of move. I don't like it because of position value. Good player, bad position. That
you don't like it, Pete. Okay.
But that to me makes no sense. Oh, he's a good player, but stop looking at him like if your plan is to just put Bijan Robinson behind center and hand him the ball 20 times, student body right, student body left, that's like taking a Ferrari and driving at 15 miles an hour down the road.
Or a Lamborghini.
Like I probably should have used that. Like it totally defeats the purpose of having him. He's not a conventional running back. Like, yes, you've found value in other backs further down the draft. I get that. But if a franchise had to do it over, would you take Christian McCaffrey as high as you did?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Would you have taken, again, when he's healthy, would you have taken Saquon Barkley as high as you did?
Sure. Yeah. So
I understand the devaluation of the running back position. Like we've talked ad nauseum about this, but my argument would be if I'm gonna downgrade this pick, my argument would be that's a team with a lot of needs in other places. So maybe your running back's more of especially because you've already got a 1,000-yard rusher with Tyler Algier. So maybe running back, even as a running back as versatile as Bijan, might be more of a luxury pick. But this signals to me, Craig, that Arthur Smith is going all in on Desmond Ridder. Like, I'm going to surround him with as much firepower as possible, and he's going to be our quarterback for the future.
I heard this said last night that the Falcons last year led the National Football League in, was it rushing attempts per offensive possession? It was a number like that, and it had a lot to do with Marcus Mariota, obviously.
Yeah.
But what it speaks to is what they're planning to do with their offense, with Ridder, and now with Bijan as well.
And Arthur Smith does love running backs.
Yeah.
He loves him some running backs.
Yeah, and this is the also what I look at annually, and this happens also with the NBA draft, less so with the Major League draft, although it should, in theory, be in more inexact science because you have high schoolers coming out. But with regard to the NFL and the NBA draft, what you have is this convergence of people who really know an awful lot about college football but aren't necessarily as in tune with how it fits in the NFL and vice versa. Pete Prisco is a really good reporter.
Yeah.
But I don't think he is in touch and locked in on or college football players as much because he's looking at the NFL needs and the conventional wisdom of you don't take a running back that high.
Other than the talking heads and the draft analysts who, again, for whatever reason, whether they view it as a luxury pick or, hey, you don't take a running back that high, whatever it is, that have downgraded the pick. The only other people I've seen angry about this pick are the Georgia fans who are also Falcons fans. They're like, well, Jalen Carter was right there. Why didn't you take him?
That's why. That's a hometown pick.
Which thing. You could have, and that would have been a really good pick for the Falcons. But, this is.
But that has nothing to do with running back, whether the running back is a good pick. That's hometown pick. That's where why aren't you taking the Georgia kid?
I think once people see, hopefully, if Arthur Smith knows what he's doing, once people see how the Falcons use Bijan, they'll realize, okay, you didn't just draft an old school, I formation downhill running back. You drafted Christian McCaffrey. You drafted if you could do the 2017 draft over, you think Alvin Kamara would have gone a lot earlier than he did? Yeah, he would have 100%. So. Whether it's like 8 or what would be the difference if the Falcons took him at 8 or traded back to, I don't think you could have traded back that far because once Bijan came off the board, I think the Eagles, to me, this signals that the Eagles had two players that they really like. We know they like Bijan and they like Jalen Carter. When Bijan went off the board, they probably felt like we got to go up and get our guy or we're going to miss Jalen Carter.
No doubt. They were in position and I think they made that move up that one spot from 10 to 9 with the express purpose of taking Bijan if he were available. And if not, going to Carter after.
In other words, if the Falcons had moved lower than 10, they wouldn't have gotten Bijan.
Nope.
Because the Eagles were going to either take him, they would have sat there at 10 and said, okay, if both of them are on the board, we're going to get one of our guys that we like.
Yep. I think that's why
and it would have been happy with it.
This got pointed out several times. Somebody said it on the Specs text line. Bijan's mama was wearing an Eagles green dress. Wrong bird.
Yeah.
It could have been. They did move forward on that, so it wasn't the Eagles' fault at that point. The Falcons went ahead and did it.
Right.
So.
But one thing I did want to point out, I'll compliment my colleague Alan True at 24/7 Sports because we have to do such things in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
How about your way too early mock first round for 2024? 3 Longhorns going in the first round. in that way too premature mock draft for 2024.
Yeah, the old way too early stuff.
Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy, and JT Sanders.
Okay.
All three guys, they're all draft eligible next year. Cam, I saw that look. Cam, you're not a big fan of the way too early stuff?
It's been 17 years in between first round picks for offensive players. I'm gonna be a little cautious there, Jeff.
And then 3 offensive players in the first round next year.
Here's a good point. Somebody said, imagine if the Chiefs saw a Texas Tech quarterback in 2017 and decided to pass on because of the school.
Yeah.
Then there's no Mahomes there.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about with this whole system bit. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I think this just shows when you look, to me, take those draft projections, like the mock stuff, or however you want to take it. It doesn't matter. The fact that Sark has not only recruited, but they're starting to develop guys at premium positions that go in the first round, quarterbacks, wide receivers. Even, we only saw one tight end go last night, but I think we can agree if JT Sanders has the kind of year we all think he's going to have and turns pro, he's going to be in that first round discussion next year. The fact that Sark is heavily invested on offense, I don't think it's going to be another 17 years between first round picks on the offensive side of the ball. But the Longhorn who I think had the best night last night, other than Bijan Robinson, it was Kelvin Banks.
Yeah,
it was Kelvin Banks, because if you look at the pass rushers that went in the draft last night. Kelvin Banks faced 4 of them this past season. Will Anderson at Alabama, Tyree Wilson at Texas Tech, Will McDonald at Iowa State, Felix Anudike-Uzomah at K-State. Would you like to know how many sacks Kelvin Banks gave up in those 4 games?
Handful. Just a small handful, wasn't it?
0.
Wow, I was going to say 3.
No sacks, only 4 pressures in those 4 games.
But yet, Felix Anudike, he's your Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year.
And Felix Anudike-Uzomah had 0 pressures in the Texas game. 0.
But he's your Big 12
He had
Defensive Player of the Year.
no impact. No impact rushing the passer. Now, if you start looking at Kelvin Banks, like you look at some PFF stuff, and I think the bowl game kind of showed that Roschon and Bijan did a lot to help out that offensive line last year with the way they maximized runs. The run blocking for Kelvin Banks, like the rest of the offensive line, it's got to improve. It needs to get better, because there's a lot of his single game grades when you look at run blocking where it's like, okay, yeah, that probably needs to go up a notch. But you look at his pass blocking grades from last year. He was, at PFF considers anything right around a 70 to be average. He was a 69 or higher in terms of his single game pass blocking grades, according to Pro Football Focus, in all but 4 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was in his best games, 83.2 against Iowa State, 83.1 against Kansas, 81.9 against Alabama, 81.6 against Washington, 81.5 against Oklahoma, 80.8 against Texas Tech. Some of the best edge rushers he faced last year were some of his best games as a pass blocker. So I think that just shows you. And here's the other thing to think about. 5 offensive linemen went in the first round of the draft last night. You know what? The first 4 linemen that went last night, what they all had in common? They were all 24/7 Sports 5-star prospects coming out of high school. It just shows you, kind of my theory has always been, if you're going to recruit offensive tackles, you've either got to get them ready to go right out of the gate, or you've got to find you toolsy guys. Whatever your tools are, you want to take just a big hulking guy and think, okay, we can work with him, or you want to take a Sam Cosmi and say, hey, we'll bulk him up, and 2-3 years from now we'll have a really good player. It all becomes beauty in the eye of the beholder outside of that top group of tackles every year that you can plug and play right away. Kelvin Banks, I didn't think he would be as good as he was as early as he was, but he ended up being a plug and play guy. And I think now you see him, given his success last year against some of these legitimate NFL caliber edge rushers, that I think we can now see the trajectory going in a really good direction for Kelvin Banks.
Somebody said, okay, Craig is a Cowboys fan. I'll make a sacrifice. I'll give you our 2nd-round pick for Aaron Donald. Now, even if you took out the part about the contract, which Jerry would never be able to deal with Aaron Donald's contract, but even if you took that out of there, no, that pick wouldn't get made, because it's beyond not only past what Aaron Donald has left in the tank. It's not that. It's now the pillar that he is in the community.
Yeah.
Of course, the Texans proved you can, let the pillar of the community get away too. with JJ. So
Yeah.
it's happened. It's happened before. So
You said pillar of the community. I'm like, Craig making a Deshaun Watson joke. We got something.
no.
I like this text where you two sad Herman didn't crash Bijan's draft table with his P charts.
Yeah, the P chart. Yeah.
Tom Herman's name did come up last night because it was brought up on the flagship message board at Hornets 24/7 that Jackson Smith and Jigba, along with Marvin Mims, were said to be too small to play at Texas, and that Jackson Smith and Jigba didn't do anything explosive enough to catch the previous regime's eye.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
How you like that, Cam? Feeling good about that right about now?
It was a tough night last night for Texas fans who saw a lot of Texas receivers who did not go to Texas. Instead, they went to Ohio State or TCU. Ended up being another first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
But hopefully Jonte Cook and
it's
DeAndre Moore and
the future.
Xavier Worthy.
I mean, just like next year's mock draft, the way too early, it's like, those are all probably, there's a highly chance of it, but also looking back at the past, the last 17 years, the last 10 years, the missed opportunities in recruiting and developing, it's just, it's a tough pill to swallow.
And man, we talk about offensive line being kind of a black hole, dude. Wide receiver's not much better. When you start looking at it over the long haul, it ain't much better. I'll say this because I know we got to get to the break here pretty soon. But we look at those way too early mocks, and this year's draft isn't even over yet. But you look at those and you see Quinn Ewers getting first round projections. Chad asked me yesterday when I was on with he and Zay. He said, if Quinn Ewers is in the first round of next year's draft, what does that mean? I said, if Quinn Ewers is in the first round of next year's draft, that probably means Texas won the Big 12. And I don't even want to mention the three other letters, what that would mean as far as what their season would entail, but they'd probably be playing for more than just a Big 12 title if Quinn Ewers is in the first round of next year's draft.
Yeah, decent shot at that.
And I think Xavier Worthy's in there too. I mean, if you're going to get there, you've got to have your number one receiver be way more consistent than he was last year.
True.
And maybe with two good hands, he'll be that guy.
Yeah. Somebody said, hey, your comments and opinions are based on being homers. You would not have the same opinion if this running back was from A&M or Texas Tech. You know what? It raises the larger question, would this running back have been as successful at Texas A&M or Texas Tech? And that's something we'll never know off of that.
What does it matter? That's the dumbest stuff that comes through the text line. Like,
it's okay.
I think guys are really there's oh god, you know what? I'm not even gonna. I don't have. It just hurts so much. See, right in this region here.
You know how that
right around my temples. It hurts right there.
The guy he's talking about was drafted, deemed worthy as the 8th best player in this last year's draft, a position that most teams believe should not be taken in the first round. They think this guy is so good, he went number 8 overall. But yeah, we're all just being homers.
You had multiple draft analysts, and take the opinions for what they were, that said he might have been the best player in the draft, regardless of position.
I guess it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
No, it is okay because
some people should think before they press send.
Yeah, but that's what this. Listen, think about what you have to deal with on that flagship message board. How many zeros you got expressing uninformed opinions on that?
No,
deal?
it's like somebody said, Jeff, don't get worked up. And I'm not worked up. I just think it's just ridiculous. Said you'll get to mow your lawn soon and decompress.
See,
Hell
there
yes,
you go.
I'm not
Before
worked up,
the
though.
rain
I just
set.
think it's ridiculous. Like, oh, you guys are homers. In the same show, like I'll have somebody call me a homer, and I'll have somebody say, oh, you're being too hard on Sark. So I guess that means you're doing your job, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe, again, some people should think before they press send.
Hey, it's Friday. It's okay. All right. Up next, speaking of such things.
I'm calm. I'm perfectly calm right now.
Calmer than you are.
Calmer
right
than
now.
you are.
Up next.
Waving the gun around? Calmer than you are.
We have Inconceivable up next when we continue. Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. Okay, you want to know what I'm a homer about? I'm a homer about John Hardy and Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. Why? I've seen their work. They do fabulous work with roofs. And beyond that, they're a full-service solar company. You know, we're about to get to the hottest season of the year, and we all know that's when higher power bills start arriving. So why not be prepared and save money with a new Timberline solar shingle roof? Or maybe you already have solar. Maybe you don't have the solar shingles, but you got those solar panels, but yet you haven't really serviced it properly, or you don't have a backup battery. That would mean that you're wasting money. And with a backup battery, you're able to use all of the power you make instead of giving it back to the power company. The batteries are now covered by the Inflation Reduction Act, so you get that tax credit, and we can all certainly use that. Well, John and his staff are solar experts. They can repair and service your existing solar system. The other roofers that you're hearing about, they're just selling you a solar roof. Divided Sky Roofing and Solar can repair and service your existing solar system. They're master electricians, and they're NABCET certified. That's the solar version of being a master plumber. Trust your roofing and solar needs to the experts, our friends at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. You can call them at 512-995-ROOF. Check them out on the web at dividedskyaustin.com. It's TEC license number 37397. When the wind blows high, and we know it will again, call our friends at Divided Sky Roofing and Solar. Does it mean homers, Jeff? Is that what that means?
Oh, look, here's the deal. Like some people say, oh, you need a Jeff's rant segment. No, you don't. Look,
Jeff Rant.
Here's the
Jeff's rant of the day.
No, when I put, because I write, I talk when I put my name on something, people are, if somebody wants to call me an idiot or a homer, that's their privilege. It's also my privilege to respond to said comments however I feel like, and 9 times out of 10, I'll just brush it off like it doesn't mean anything. But you text in the show and say something I don't agree with. Don't be shocked if I want to say something. That's all it is.
Before we jump in, here's one thing that somebody said. We were talking about that somebody said sprinkle laundry detergent in your grass. This fits an inconceivable. Mm-hmm. Somebody said it's the phosphates in the detergent that supply the phosphorus for growth, and as you would feed your yard, that kind of thing. So you should know that. Same texter said, the best thing about the weekend is that all the mocks will stop. Mel Kiper Jr. will stop. He'll be back in the closet, not to be heard from the next 8 months. I totally agree with that. Can we try a year without them before the draft? Let's go back to the old days.
Nope.
Yeah,
the draft is a cottage industry.
Yep.
You cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube on that deal.
Nope.
And I love the draft. Like, I really do. But I don't know. Just the only thing that I don't like is like, I don't know. We kind of do the same thing when we rank recruiting classes. It's like grading everybody's draft. Like, okay, maybe you thought the Eagles had an A+ draft, but what if guys get hurt or whatever? I don't know. It's just it is what it is. You gotta look to enjoy the draft. You got to take some of the, how can I put this nicely, the slappy activity that comes along with it, to enjoy the good stuff.
It's part of the deal. Yeah. So, okay. So the inconceivable. A little sad note. So this is worth mentioning, though, and you'll see why I included this in inconceivable. A former Major League Baseball or National League MVP and a part of a World Championship team, a World Series championship team, has passed away. Now, it's sad. Dick Groat. Do you know who Dick Groat was?
The name sound. I was thinking about Jerry Groat.
Jerry Grote was a catcher for the Mets. Dick Groat was a shortstop with the Pirates, and he was the National League MVP. He hit .325 in 1960, and they won the World Series that year, beat the Yankees, the famous walk-off home run by Bill Mazeroski in Game 7. And it came just days after he was told he'd be part of the Pittsburgh Pirates 2023 Hall of Fame class. Here's your inconceivable part about Dick Groat. Okay. He was an outstanding baseball player. He played 14 years in the bigs, was really, really good. But before he was a baseball major leaguer, he was an All-American basketball player at Duke.
Really?
All-American basketball player at Duke, was drafted by the Fort Wayne Pistons, now the Detroit Pistons, and he was commuting like once or twice a week from Durham, North Carolina, after his collegiate eligibility in baseball had expired, before finishing his classes before he graduated, to Fort Wayne to play in the NBA, which he played in for about 4 years, and then the Pirates convinced him, you really need to stick with baseball. And so he did that, and he played 14 years in the bigs, was a great player, and then, and this is where I met him, he became the color analyst on Pitt Panther basketball and was really, really good. I met him when he was in his early 80s at Madison Square Garden when Texas was playing up there once.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a real thrill to get him. But he passed away at the age of 92. But you talk about a guy who was an outstanding two-sport athlete.
Life, man.
Yeah. Well-lived, and lived to be 92, and was an All-American basketball player in the early 50s at Duke. He passed away. Dick Groat passed away. Okay. Now some I guess I'm going to step aside from the way we normally do this. The way we normally do this on Friday is I save the Florida man stories for last. I'm not doing that today because there's
we have anything from Florida woman this week, or is she off the hook?
We have two
we don't discriminate.
No, but we have two very heinous Florida man stories. So I want to get them out of the way because they're really disturbing.
Save us a palate cleanser for the end.
Yeah. First of all, you got some video where the cops had it, and I didn't care to see it, but I saw it anyway. Newly released video shows Florida deputies, they're trying to run down a knife-wielding suspect, a guy who had several outstanding warrants, had broken into his ex-girlfriend's apartment. His name was Matvey Klemenko.
It's one of those terms that always raises a red flag. Knife-wielding suspect.
Yep. Was holding her at knife point.
Jeez.
Arriving officers negotiated with him for several hours in an attempt to have him surrender, and they were able to guide his hostage out of a window, so that was good. Okay. So then the dude takes off running. He bolts from the home. He runs down the street. Deputies called in a canine unit because the dog can run faster than the humans, and the dog can track him. So the dog's running. He turns around with a knife to kill the dog.
No.
And they gunned him down.
Okay.
So he didn't get the dog. So that's one disturbing Florida man story. Then he had another one. This one, they've arrested in what has been arrested an accused MS-13 gang member. Arrested.
Hey, real quick on that, if you kill a canine that's with the canine unit, is that akin to like killing a peace officer?
I think
like the same kind of crime.
I think so.
I figured it would.
Yeah. Because he was going to be charged with attempted murder, it said, or something like that. But anyway, an accused MS-13 gang member arrested in Holiday, Florida, charged in what sheriffs have described as a demonic murder of a delivery driver. The remains were found dismembered at the suspect's home last week. Apparently, this guy, Oscar Solis, was arrested, preliminarily charged this Monday with murder while engaged in robbery, found victims' remains in trash bags. The police think there's a possibility that he tried to eat some of the person. You know who the delivery driver is for? Uber Eats. And so now they've arrested that guy.
That dude.
Yeah. Demonic is the way they described it. It was really, really bad. So that's why
Please, for the love of God, tell me you've got a palate cleanser.
I have two, because we need two after those, right? First, this is really cool. High school senior in Louisiana has received, now think about this, more than 170 college acceptance letters.
Good for them.
And more than $9 million in scholarship offers.
Sweet.
Dennis Malik Barnes
Good times.
is a senior at the International High School in New Orleans. He's 16. He's graduating early. He goes, I wasn't trying to set any records. It's a Guinness Book of World Records for
That's
most
awesome.
college acceptance. He said, I wasn't trying to set any records, but as I applied to more schools, my numbers went up with the financial aid and acceptances. So then he just started getting all kinds of letters. So he started applying to schools last August. So he has a 4.98 GPA on a 4.0 scale. He's graduating 2 years early and hasn't decided where he's going to go.
What does this young man want to major in?
Computer science.
Thank goodness, because we need the smartest amongst us to put their brain power to use.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Too many slappies like me want to get in this industry.
So there he is, Dennis Malik Barnes. Congratulations to him. And finally, we got one other palate cleanser for you, Jeff. And this happened apparently this week. School bus driver driving a bunch of middle schoolers home in Michigan. Something happened to him. He started feeling bad, called in and said, I'm going to pull over. I need some relief. And he then passes out. The bus still rolling down the road.
Dude.
7th grader jumps behind the wheel there and praised as a hero, manages to get the bus pulled over. Dylan Reeves, a student at Lois Carter Middle School in Warren, Michigan, took immediate action. He was seated 5 rows back, jumps out of his seat, says threw his backpack down because he's a 7th grader who have the backpack, ran to the front of the bus, grabbed the steering wheel, and was driving it down the road and brought the bus to a stop in the middle of the road.
He drove bus. And be thankful for
in
that.
a video released, he's seen taking control of the steering wheel, slowly pushing the brakes, and then yelling. This is a kid, a 7th grader driving, yelling back, somebody call 911. Now. Somebody should call 911. I don't care. Somebody call 911.
Fight or flight kicked in for that kid.
Smart move. They said he had the wherewithal to push it slowly. He didn't slam on the brakes, guided it in. So there's your inspirational stories. There's your palate cleanser.
Thank you for that.
This is Inconceivable on Light the Tower on the Horn. Second hour of Light the Tower on the Horn. Craig Wayne and Jeff Howe with you. We were just talking about the fact that I won't be on the program on Monday. I say I won't be on the program for the full Monty on that because the game Monday, the Texas TCU baseball game, that's right, Monday, the series got pushed back. As we told you yesterday, it was going to be, and it was. They just didn't have the times all squared away. They do now. 6 o'clock tomorrow night. No game tonight. Obviously, they're expecting heavy, heavy rains and thunderstorms in the Fort Worth area this evening. So no game tonight. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, Sunday afternoon at 3, Monday afternoon at 1. And for those of you who always ask the radio guy, where can I find it on TV? and I'm always happy to oblige whenever I can. The game tomorrow night is ESPNU for sure. The game Sunday, I think, is going to be on ESPN Plus. TCU's simulcast broadcast. I think they were still looking at the possibility of something, a different tier carrying that, but the probability is that it would be ESPN Plus. Monday is definitely ESPN Plus. That was going to be their Sunday game, was going to be ESPN Plus anyway.
Well, Tanner Witt for lunch on Monday.
Better be an hors d'oeuvre if you want to see him out there. You're not going to be out there long. And we're going to hear David Pierce talk about that coming up in our Longhorn Notebook.
Call it the side salad.
Yeah, the appetizer, since he's going to start the game on Monday. But you'll hear Coach Pierce talk about that. We have some David Pierce sound coming up at the bottom of the hour. But anyway, I was mentioning that to Jeff that I hope to be, well, I will be in position to be able to check in with you on Monday from Lupton Field. Yep. We'll have that. In and around our prep for the broadcast and our pregame conversations with Coach Pierce and all that. We'll do that. And again, it's Monday. That Monday game will be heard on AM 1260 and 101.9 FM. The Monday game will. The other two, tomorrow, Sunday, will be on the Horn on 104.9.
You can still stream that too, right? The Monday game?
It'll be on TexasSports.com and on the Texas Longhorns app. So, yeah, it'll be on the Texas Longhorns app and on TexasSports.com. Stream for free. So you can.
It means Monday. Cam, air high five. We're doing draft recap Monday.
Let's do it, baby.
So
and debauchery. I don't know what that's going to entail.
Yeah. Anyway, just letting you know that. All right, some cleanup from hour number one. Somebody said, did the second Florida man have a wine cellar full of nice Chianti? Yeah, I'm talking about that.
Gross. Somebody said that, we got this text, that the MS-13 guy killed him due to his food getting there late / it was cold.
Doesn't make it better, but it does make it worse somehow. Oh, I see what you're saying. Makes it worse even that he would strike at somebody just because his food was late. Yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Somebody said, fire up the cauldron. Now, I don't know if they did that about the guy that was trying to kill the dog, the police dog.
Well, the guy that killed the dog is dead, right?
Yep.
Well, he don't need to go. That's just a waste. A waste of cauldron.
Yeah. It's the other guy.
Cat that hacked up the Uber Eats driver. Yeah. It's just straight to the cauldron.
Yep. Absolutely. Our man Bevo Lance Jason says, man, stories like the students saving the day stories that make up for the Florida Man Friday, depressing, stomach-turning stories, leaving me feeling hopeful about humanity. Absolutely. Somebody said that seventh grader's a future first responder. Yeah, could be. Somebody said palate cleanser after a cannibal story. Mr. Howe.
Yeah, probably bad choice of words on my part. Man.
Dang, Craig, lunchtime, it said. What was he delivering? Stop that. Not even going to do that. So.
Was that Nate?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Nate, come on.
Not gonna do that. So anyway, that was a cleanup from hour number one there. But we'll hear from David Pierce coming up. It's a big weekend. It's a big weekend for Texas State, and there's real concern about their series. They're in Norfolk, Virginia, to play Old Dominion, and they're tied for third with ODU. And you say, okay, what's the big deal? They're tied for third. Nobody's catching Coastal Carolina. Coastal was projected as a top 8 seed right now in some projections, and certainly a regional host. Texas State is still in regional projections. So is Old Dominion. But one of those teams is going to drop out of a regional projection after this weekend. I'm certain of that, especially if they wind up sweeping. But even taking 2 out of 3 might do it.
Sorry if the listening audience heard that.
Heard that sneeze, didn't
I
you?
had that sneeze holstered for a while, and it just surfaced
finally. Just like you got to go ahead and discharge.
It's always a good one when your chest pops.
Yeah. So that's an important weekend series for Texas State in terms of down the road regional projection stuff, and it does not look good there. Rain, they might be able to squeeze in tonight. Saturday's a little iffy. Sunday looks bad. So getting in all 3 could be really dicey. They might be spending a lot of time over at Dumars. Not Joe Dumars.
Did I say Joe Dumars?
No, this is Doumars. Great ice cream place.
By the way, Joe Dumars old school?
McNeese State. I did basketball games when North Texas played McNeese State with Joe Dumars and Louisiana Tech with Carl Malone.
Just got to make sure you stand sharp, Craig. Got to make sure.
It was there. Saw Joe Dumars playing for those McNeese teams there in the early 80s, mid 80s. Dumars, what I was telling you about, Doumars. It is an ice cream place in Norfolk, Virginia that has been around since the early 1900s because the man, Mr. Dumars himself, is the one who invented the waffle cone. And
no way, really?
The actual, not waffle cone, I'm wrong. He's the man who invented the ice cream cone.
Oh, just the ice cream cone, period.
The ice cream cone.
Okay.
It happened at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. They were serving ice cream, and of course, St. Louis hot and muggy in the summertime, and didn't have time to wash all the dishes. And he had kind of like a waffle iron thing, and he just tried it and rolled it up, and boom, there it was. And the original cone rolling machine that he designed out of that is at that and still in use at that location in Norfolk, Virginia. I have eaten an ice cream cone off of that ice cream cone machine.
Well, good deal.
Yeah. So Bobcats may have to spend some time over it. I don't know. Hopefully they'll be able to get those games in, but it's really important for Texas State.
All right, Cameron, are you a big ice cream guy, Cameron?
Yeah,
I
guess so.
Ooh, you didn't sound like it just anyway. Like, yeah.
Do you go bowl, like bowl/cup? You go regular cone or waffle cone?
So I'm going to cheat here. Usually I'm getting a milkshake.
That's not a bad call.
If I'm going to do something different, I'll do a bowl of ice cream.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of the cones.
Just your standard bowl.
Yeah, I'm good with just the ice cream. I don't need a waffle cone or whatever kind of cones you got.
Okay. Favorite flavor?
Ooh, cookies and cream
Okay.
or Bluebell homemade vanilla. I mean, that's just like
Kind of hard to
crack
go wrong with
cocaine.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bluebell cookies and cream or just plain old just regular strawberry. I don't need it all fancied up.
There you go. Don't candy up your candy.
But like
your ice cream?
what's the Brahms one that I get? The cherries, pecans, and something else. It's like just vanilla ice cream, cherries, and pecans.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Get that at Brahms.
Okay.
The strawberry ice cream at Zesto's in Omaha goes hard.
Yeah. I kind of got it's funny when cookies and cream first came out. I ate it incessantly to the point where I got burned out on it. And even now I can only on occasion. However, I do love a really good chocolate chip ice cream. Really like that. And then just like Bluebell's Dutch chocolate or the homemade vanilla is good. Linda likes the vanilla bean. She likes a vanilla bean.
I'm watching a YouTube clip, not a YouTube, but it's on the Twitter machine. It's CBS News posted it. It's this alligator in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Walking across the street. This must be a really old gator because he's moving at about the speed of smell.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look how big that thing is, though.
Yeah. Those dudes do
he just laid down in the street like, man, I can sun myself.
Yeah, I got to take a break here. Does it say what community they're in?
No, it just
South Carolina.
It just says South Carolina.
Yeah. Now Victor, he's partial to pistachio with chocolate syrup.
Now, chocolate syrup I ain't down with. Pistachio, yes.
I'm kind of the other way around. I like the chocolate syrup, not so much on the pistachio on that. Have you ever been to Shakespeare's in Columbia? Great pizza. Yes, I have, and it is. You're right. Here's somebody with the waffle cone with the Amy's dark chocolate mixed with the Guinness. That's good. Not an app guy likes the strawberry sundaes at Dairy Queen Hey, there you go. You can get you a good strawberry sundae. The groom's cake from Bluebell. Yeah, that's the chocolate-based one. The bride's cake, the groom's cake. You have those as well. CB says, I miss Bluebell and the HEB Creamy Creations. So,
hey, just real quick, CB sent me this. I don't think this requires a breaking news sounder, but Kevin Durant, Craig.
yes.
He's had a Nike deal since he started in the league.
Yeah.
And even if you go back to remember, like, it was, I don't know, probably like 10 years ago, he had that deal where his Nike deal was up.
Yep.
And it was like, is he going to sign with Under Armour?
Looked like Under Armour for sure.
He's a DMB guy, and Under Armour's from that part of the country. And then he signs with, actually, I was told he signed his Nike contract at Justin Mason's wedding.
Yeah.
Like, signed the paperwork there.
Saw Mace about a month ago. He was at a basketball game.
KD now has a lifetime Nike contract. He's with Nike for life. So that KD brand will be like the Jordan brand or the LeBron brand. It'll be there forever.
I think it's a smart move on both parts. On both parts.
Probably, I don't know if that gives you a hint when the next apparel deal at Texas is up for negotiation, but I'm going to go ahead and guess Texas will probably stick with being a Nike school.
Yeah.
Especially since it seems like Under Armour's kind of, they're not getting out of the game, but they've downsized their client list.
Texas Tech. Still Under Armour.
Notre Dame, I think Wisconsin. Not that many. Auburn. But Auburn and Tech were two of the first schools. Maryland, obviously.
Yep.
But like UCLA, Cal, there's been several Under Armour schools that have gone by the wayside and don't have that Under Armour deal anymore.
We have some other ones where Brady likes peanut butter chocolate. It's good. Mint chocolate chip with a magic shell. Coffee flavored ice cream or the Mexican vanilla from Amy's. Yeah, that's really good. Bluebell orange sherbet. So
Cam, what dessert do you like? Like you're just like standard bowl of ice cream. You're a pie guy, a cake guy. It's like Rod Babers is a cake guy. He's not a pie. He's not a pie guy.
I'm just the opposite. I mean, I like cake, but I ate a lot of cake as a kid and not that much pie. So I've really come to appreciate good pie, especially if you go to a great pie emporium. If you go to Blue Bonnet Cafe in Marble Falls, if you go out to Round Top Cafe, if you go to some of those that are really, really good at how they do pie, that's where you start to.
Are you picky, Cam? You got like something that, like a last meal type dessert, or is it neither here nor there for you?
I'm partial to two things: cookies and anything that involves peanut butter and chocolate.
Okay, yeah. You and Sark on the cookies.
Yeah,
Sark
loves
him some cookies.
Those dang cookies at the Moody Center, Craig. I mean, you saw me every halftime of the basketball game.
For the cookies,
like a nice macadamia nut cookie.
Man. The peanut butter ones, and they're like the size of a tire. Oh,
yeah. I've not tried it. Yes, now this I have. This is the Bluebell oatmeal cream pie. Nick can say, yeah, that's good. That's very crackish. And Bluebell Italian cream cake. Hey, you've been to Astros games. Where here's somebody said, not an ice cream person, but I'm have incredibly fond memories of the frozen lemonade from Minute Maid.
Going to another one this summer.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Princess Day at Minute Maid Park, so I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count as to why that's the game we're going to this year.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Somebody said the Brahms birthday cake or cookies and cream and white. I like the Brahms when I'm around it.
Somebody said coffee cup
walnut
pies. I almost mistook that E for an S when I glanced at it, so it almost said something entirely different when I glanced at it. I'm like, what is that?
Coffee cup is they're talking about the cafe in Heiko. Okay. Coffee cup. Yeah. And they have a blueberry banana cream pie that's really, really good.
Telling you, man, my wife's grandmother makes a bourbon pecan pie.
Yeah.
So
really good.
Yeah.
Somebody wanting to know what your thoughts on Casey Thompson entering the transfer portal.
I mean, I don't know where he's going to go at this point. I mean, it's probably not going to be a P5 school, I wouldn't think. Probably a G5 program. It's kind of late in the game, though. Like, if you're going to do that, probably should have done it at semester. Like, I'm talking about the start of the spring semester.
Mm-hmm.
So,
we got one school for you guys: Florida Atlantic University. Because with that, because he missed the entire spring with the shoulder, right? So does he even have the arm strength to really even
play
Power 5?
I was gonna say you've got Is Grayson McCall still at Coastal? Doesn't say Tim Beck is the head coach at Coastal now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a spot.
I know FAU did. They add that, was it Western or Central Michigan transfer? But I don't.
That's one that I think, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Tom wouldn't look at that because it's only a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, he's a grad transfer. I
Yeah.
believe he's entering the portal as.
Yeah. Well, Casey with one more year.
I would think it'd be like that type of program though. It's going to be a G5 program.
Yeah.
So
he was a good dude to visit with. He was
Casey,
a lot of fun.
yeah.
Yeah. He was a lot of fun to visit with. Oh, yeah. Here's one of my favorites. The Heath Bar Blizzard. Yeah. That's really good. Anyway, and somebody else pointed out the Cherry Garcia there. Jeff, I'll give you my Astros tickets for that game. Free 99.
I already have tickets.
Oh, you already got them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I appreciate the offer, but
yeah, there you go. So there you go. All right. Those were and somebody asked us about, and we did this the other day, but it said it'd be
that's a good call, Cam. I don't know why I wasn't thinking FAU for Casey Thompson, but that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. The Texan in Hutto, it says, has a damn good pie, and the Dahlia in Liberty Hill with that bourbon pecan pie and buttermilk pie. Good buttermilk pie is hard to beat.
Sorry, the pie I eat is butter. I saw bourbon on the text. Like it's a buttermilk pecan pie.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really, really good. There's somebody that likes lemon bar. You know what? Lemon bar saved me in a broadcast once. I mentioned this. I've told this story. I had hiccups, bad hiccups in the game.
Yeah.
I get to halftime, I go running into the press room, anything to try to, and I wolfed down and nothing was working. And I wolfed down a couple of lemon bars, and it, like that, the hiccups went away. So, and somebody said, okay, Nate says, for real, the Olive Garden tiramisu. Okay. Yeah, you can take your word for it on that. All right. Coming up, we have a Flex 30 update, a preview of playoff action tonight, and weather permitting, of course. And we'll hear from David Pierce, Longhorns head baseball coach, when we continue with Light the Tower on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9, AM 1260. We're live, local, and digital on the Horn app and at hornfm.com. This is Light the Tower on the Horn. Craig Way, Jeff Howe. Cam Parker, our producer, as well. Before we jump into a second-hour Longhorn Notebook, let's transition into our Flex 30 update for you. Well, here's what kind of, you have to be concerned with regard to games that could be played, might be played, or perhaps more to the point, games that could be suspended due to stormy weather in the area. So the softball playoffs, a couple of games last night, and then most of the big action is scheduled to go tonight, whether it's a one-game playoff or best of three. Now, what normally does happen in those, if you do get a rain out, unfortunately, you wind up seeing a best of three get reduced to a one-gamer. Last night, Dripping Springs beat Del Valle in action in that one. And there's, let's see, Dripping Springs and Johnson tied for first in 26-6A. Those two did originally. But the other playoff games are rolling on tonight. And then, Cam, this is what? Really and truly what? It gets into the last weekend of the regular season in high school baseball?
Yeah, for those districts who have like 26-6A, who they have, I think, 9 teams, so a little bit larger than like 25-6A. Yeah, Westlake plays Buda Johnson. So Westlake has a game lead over Lake Travis and Bowie for the first place, and then Buda Johnson is 2 games back. So as long as Westlake doesn't drop both their games this weekend, Lake Travis plays Bowie tonight, which will probably decide that second spot, and Lake Travis will play Buda Johnson tomorrow. So 2 games left with the weather, Craig. I mean, we're looking at possibly a short week for some of these teams going the next week, because the playoffs should start about Thursday, Friday area. So the weather is going to really mess things up possibly this weekend, not just for baseball, college, but high school and softball too.
Wow. Okay. All right. So we'll hope for the best this weekend with regard to the softball playoffs, the bi-districts getting underway.
I've got a quick flex update if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, one other thing. First of all, Victor says he's supposed to announce that Lassa Eastview game tonight at Nowak, over at the Nowak Field over there. Good luck with that, Victor. I hope it does. I hope it does come through, that Lassa and Eastview are able to play. Lassa is a really interesting story. Got a freshman pitcher, and she has been outstanding for the Raptors. So we'll see as they get ready to play Eastview.
MLB Pipeline has updated their top 150 prospects eligible for the 2023 draft. Travis Sakura checks in at number 27 overall.
27 overall.
So
chances are
don't get your hopes up,
Longhorn
fans.
Yeah. I think.
Well, Craig, you know how this works. I didn't know this. Travis Sakura, according to this, he's already 19. So if you talk about in terms of age, if the money's right, you probably want to get that clock started ASAP.
Why do I get the feeling the money's going to be right for him?
I think it'll work.
The money's going to be right for him. All right, there it is. There's your Flex 30 update. How about the second hour Longhorn Notebook? Okay, David Pierce had media availability yesterday and talked about a couple of things. First of all, he discussed some of the, shall we say, what is it that Rod likes to say? The uncomfortable conversation that reveals the inconvenient truth.
The sad, ugly, unfortunate, inconvenient truth. I think, sorry, Rod, if I butchered that.
Yeah. He discussed that yesterday, and talked about what they have to, what the last couple of days or the last few days are like. Not working right. Okay. Okay. Do we have the other one where it's talking about? All right. Here's his thoughts on matching him with TCU, because he was asked, what does he see? You look at a TCU team. that is now 23-18. Like Texas, they got swept last week, and they got swept on the road at West Virginia, including getting run ruled on Sunday, and they're 7-8 in the conference. This for a team that was picked either first, second, or third, depending on which preseason prognostication you were perusing at the time. But here they are right now in seventh place right now in the conference standings, and he was asked for his thoughts on the Horned Frogs.
Successful at Texas A&M Tech.
So we don't have it? Okay. All right. Never mind. He was, okay. All right. Cam will work on that.
While Cam's working on that, can we go ahead and talk a little Longhorn basketball?
Yep. Absolutely.
As I said at the start of the show, I hope my man Max Asmus that his timing on the court is better than his timing in terms of announcing his decision, because he did it right before the draft. Craig, we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks now. All the buzz has been trending toward Texas landing Max Asmus. Sure. They finally did yesterday. He commits to Texas, so you've at least got one guard. Rodney Terry has a guard locked in for the 2023-24 season. I think we're expecting Tyrese Hunter to come back. But now, with your front court pretty much settled, with Max Asmus in the fold, and again, I go back to what a source told me about Max Asmus right before his visit. They're like, this guy's he's the franchise. He's the face of the program. He's the kind of guy you give the keys to the car. They really love Max Asmus. They've loved him since he went into the portal. And now they got him. I think it's safe to say they've gotten their top two targets out of the portal, with Caden Shedrick and Max Asmus. They like Jaden Nunn and some other guys, but I think at the start, the minute these two guys went in, they really wanted these two guys. And they're the kind of guys that, hey, doesn't matter what the rest of the roster looks like, we want these two guys. So they got them. So 2 thumbs up for that. I think now you can focus on getting that third guard. I think Kendall Weaver from UTA probably is the lead dog in that pack, if you will, of guys they like. I know they're looking for a guard / wing, somebody with some length that can play on the perimeter, and then maybe a younger, a big with multiple years of eligibility left that can play maybe a supporting role this year with the chance that they can develop and be a frontline player next year when you're going to lose Dylan Dessou, you're going to lose Brock Cunningham, more off likely than not, you're going to lose Ron Holland. So it'll be rebuilding the front court again next year. But that's just kind of the year-to-year process that is roster building in college basketball. Yeah. So can't say enough good things, Craig, about Texas getting Max Asmus. We do our transfer portal rankings at 24/7 Sports. He's the number 8 overall prospect available in the transfer portal, or was, because he's no longer available. He's committed to Texas. So that's 2 of the top 17 transfers in the country coming to Texas, with Caden Shedrick and Max Asmus, and you throw in a 5-star recruit in Ron Holland from Duncanville, number 6 recruit in the country. Things are starting to come together.
Dylan Dessou returning, and we're probably expecting Tyrese Hunter to return.
It's worth me saying again, belly aching about lack of transfer portal movement in early April is akin to complaining about football recruiting in the middle of June or July. Yeah. Take a little bit of patience. Just let things play out. If you get to a certain point and things aren't working out, then you can feel free to complain. But not worth it then. I think Rodney Terry's had a really good close to the month, obviously.
Yeah. And
really strong week,
and not done yet.
Still got pieces to add.
Okay, so now Cam says we've got the bugs worked out on the deal. Let's hear from David Pierce first of all on those inconvenient truths with the uncomfortable conversations they had after the series sweep loss to Oklahoma and getting ready for this week.
Well, first of all, I would say that there's a lot of honest conversations, uncomfortable conversations in a team setting as well. Not demeaning, just demanding. And when we were demanding of it, then we put them in some pretty critical, tough situations that we've done in the past, but some of our rotational stuff where it's baseball but conditioning. And what I look for then is, are they all in? And body language from how they respond to each other. And I thought they were outstanding. And we weren't soft on them. And so I think they responded really well.
Yep. Oh, I think this is the keeping rolling there. I think Tanner Witt.
He's going to go 1 inning, and I hope he goes out and he's nice and healthy and attacks the strike zone. And then after that, I hope for his recovery to be right to move to the next stage.
There it is, right there. It's and we talked about it earlier. And Coach Pierce was on with Bucky and Aaron this morning. Said pretty much the same thing. the projection for Tanner Witt is to actually start on Monday because you can go from a fixed point there. Doesn't mean he's going to be a starter or work into a starter or this or that. It's just the next. David likened it to a rehab start, which you have, at the major league level. So if somebody for the Rangers is going through a rehab start, they come through Round Rock and have a rehab start with the Express. For the Astros, it could be in Sugar Land or Corpus even, whatever, for a rehab start. We don't have that, obviously, at the collegiate level. So, quote, unquote, his rehab start is to start the game on Monday, in all probability, and to try to give them somewhere between 20 and 30 pitches and hope that everything's okay, and then you move on.
You know what I didn't realize about the schedule getting pushed back, why it's fine to play a Monday game? There's no midweek game this week.
No midweek.
Yeah.
So that was the other consider. They have.
Does TCU have a midweek this next week?
I don't think so.
I'll look.
Yeah.
Say what you're going to say, Craig. I'll look that up.
Yeah, and Texas only has one more midweek game, and it is a week from this Tuesday at home against UT Arlington. You know who the coach of UTA is, Jeff Howe?
No idea.
How about Clay Van Hook?
Really?
Yeah, his first head coaching job.
Oh, was he? Yeah, he just got that job, didn't he?
Yep.
First year, because he was with Skip at Oklahoma, and now, okay.
Hook was the coach. So
it's all coming together. It's all coming together.
Look forward to seeing the former Longhorn all-purpose utility man, former Brenham Cub quarterback, and rodeo cowboy.
Yeah, TCU's scheduled for a home game Tuesday against UTRGV.
Okay.
And then they host Cal State Fullerton next weekend in the non-con.
Yeah, it's their open date on the non-conference schedule next. So anyway, it'll be Monday afternoon at 1:00 is that makeup on that. And speaking of TCU, like I said, it's a Horned Frog team that's had its struggles of late. Like the Longhorns, got swept last weekend. They are 7-8 in the league, and David Pierce was asked for his impressions of what he sees from TCU.
Well, they're coming in kind of a very similar situation we were coming off of. And this is a team that's very talented. They were a top 10 team at the beginning of the year. They still have a very veteran and good offense. They've struggled a little bit more defensively than in the past. And similar situation on the mound. They have stuff, they just hadn't been throwing as many strikes. So I think you have two teams that are both determined to get their weekend flipped, maybe I wouldn't say season, but their conference in a more favorable position. So I think both teams have got a lot of motivation, and they're a very talented team. What we have to do is go in there and not give in, and no matter what the situation is, be able to handle adversity and be able to be the team that can handle that when it's a close game, when the game's on the line, and not put too much pressure on yourself to get it done.
Yeah, try to find a way to get through it. Elsewhere in the Big 12, Oklahoma State this is their open date on the conference schedule. So they went up to Ann Arbor to play Michigan, and they've already been rained out for today. So they won't play.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, they're going to try to play tomorrow and Sunday. But on the league schedule, there's some other important stuff. Texas Tech is playing at Kansas State. And then Kansas is at OU, and then West Virginia is in Waco to play Baylor, and they may have to deal with weather as well there. But they're playing Baylor, and West Virginia is sitting on top of the league standings right now. They are 8-4 in the conference, but it's very, very jumbled, really from first place to seventh. There's not more than 2.5 games that separates any team in that respect. Nate on the Specs text line said, "Yeah, you did call that, Jeff, about the." Everybody just slow your mule with regard to getting all bunged up with regard to the portal movement. And Stoner asking, have we heard any other Big 12 hoop portal movement?
Tyler Perry's trending to K-State at this point, the North Texas transfer. Mm-hmm. Bob Huggins has had a really strong portal season. I'd have to Stoner off the top of my head, and we don't have enough time to get into it anyway, but I'll try to put something together maybe for Monday to go look at that. As far as the women's go, Craig, Vic Schaefer just doesn't have. They have what, maybe one or two spots.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's kind of the gift and the curse. They're looking for another ball handling guard. I've been told they kind of see that as their biggest need. But if you recruit a ball handling guard, that person's going to come to Texas knowing, okay, I'm basically going to be like Rory Harmon's backup, basically running the second unit when Rory needs a break. So again, you know your needs, but you got to find.
Right.
It's going to take a pretty special player or somebody that you feel like maybe stick around a while or something. I don't know. It's easier said than done to go fill that hole.
Yep, for sure. No doubt about it. Hey, by the way, they just showed a sign. This jumps completely out of Longhorns and out of Big 12, but they just showed a shot of that Cowboys war room right after that when they made the pick and Jerry's standing up, turning around, and they're like applauding and shaking hands and all that. Did you see who's on the far right of the picture?
No.
Unless I'm just completely misidentifying, but I did call it state championship game. It was John
Stephen Jones.
I think it was JS.
Non-Spalding.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was down there in the corner next to Aunt Charlotte. Charlotte Jones Anderson.
Right.
So he's down there. So anyway, I noticed that last night. I pointed that out to Linda. I said, Linda, we've been together almost 5 years in terms of just reconnecting and all that. Of course, our 1 year wedding anniversary is not till July, but we started. We reconnected like almost 5 years ago. And I said, could you have 5 years ago foreseen sitting down and watching the entire NFL draft? I didn't think she would stop laughing. Because she would, no, was the deal. But she's really gotten interested in a lot of things. She hadn't really watched the draft much, so she watched it with quite an interest last night. And then obviously she's become a big fan of all things Longhorns of the sports, but also really likes some Major League Baseball and still likes the NFL and college basketball likes as well. All right, we'll be back to wrap up today's edition of Light the Tower here on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260, live, local, and digital on the Horn app and hornfm.com. If you were out at any of the Pluckers locations last night with all of our guys at those 7 locations and you were watching the NFL draft coverage, you were watching on those outstanding big screens installed by our good friend Tom McKay and his staff at Audiovisual Consultations. But they're more than just about outfitting a great sports bar chain. They also can take care of you. If you want to outfit your den or your office or man cave, family room, your outside patio, they're experts at all of that. They do it really seamlessly with the no visible means of support method. You don't have to worry about the mounting and the equipment and the bracketing and all that stuff, let alone having to go out and do the shopping for yourself for that 75-inch HD TV in those big box stores, or maybe you don't even know how to go about setting up a home theater setup. They are experts at that, like the 90-inch screen all the way up to 150 inches. Yeah, that's what they do. So why not check them out on the web at avconsultations.com. Then give Tom and his staff a call today, 512-255-8678. Let Tom McKay and Audiovisual Consultations help you realize the home entertainment system of your dreams.
I just cracked Craig up during the break, and it's something I should have mentioned.
It was a certain phrase you used, one that I've never heard before.
Dude, it was, and that thing was gross.
You were describing a soft drink that you did not care for.
No, not at all.
Okay.
That'd be first time, last time on that deal.
Yeah. Okay. Come Monday, it'll be all right, as Jimmy Buffett would say. But I will check in from Fort Worth. So you and Cam will be doing some major draft recap.
Recap.
Yeah.
We'll get to some of that Sark audio too that Cam chopped up because we still got some of that that's
Yep.
pertinent. Some of that's it's evergreen stuff, right, Cam? Just a thumbs up on that.
There you go.
Okay.
Because Texas football is evergreen.
There is no off season.
For our man behind the glass, our producer Cam Parker, and for my co-host Jeff Howe, I'm Craig Way. Hope you're safe and dry this weekend, and we'll look forward to visiting with you next time on Light the Tower.